Hello everyone. Time for the sound check on the $99 Bicers HSS. Um, Action was really low when I got it. Was experiencing some fret buzz from about the 11th fret back. Raised it up. The I think there was some excessive bow to the, so that would be concave bow to the truss rod or the neck. So I straightened it out a little bit, tightened it up a little bit, straightened it out. There's only a very little amount of bow to it. With the China 9s on it, I was still getting some buzz. I mean, the individual strings, I eliminated the fret buzz. There was no, but when I strummed it, which is still there, it kind of has a tendency to buzz on the fretboard. Just the top, the big strings. But it's a little bit better with a set of Ernie balls on it than it was with the China 9s. But it still does it. And there's no individual dead frets. And when you check them all, there's no buzzing. But when you power chord the top 3 strings, it's a little bit of rattle to it. So I don't know what that's about. And it's nothing, it doesn't affect how it sounds plugged in or anything. It's just when you're sitting down playing it unplugged, it's just kind of not, So I picked up my Leo James. It doesn't do it. So I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. So we raised the action up to try to help with that. Well, there actually was some dead frets until I did that. No dead frets. A little bit of buzzing when you power chord the top 3 strings. And that's mostly down on the end. Also, it's got the super cheap conical Strat buttons, which I don't mind until I get a guitar that has great big ones that waller it all out. I don't really have trouble with the cheap ones till then. But they were loose. Tried to tighten them. The screws were stripped. So I found I had a couple of bigger screws. I got a drill bit to pre-drill the bigger screws. When I took these screws out, nothing came out of the hole but sawdust, which is odd. And then when I pre-drilled them, just sawdust. So it's making me think this might be a composite body, not an actual real piece of wood. I'm thinking the cheapest guitar I have, although it's pretty nice, got a really nice, maple, roasted maple neck and everything on it. I think this body is like a particle board. Because normally when you drill into a real piece of wood, you get pieces of wood in your drill bit that come out. This did not, just sawdust. So I got some big screws in here. Hopefully, they're big enough to where even though this isn't an actual piece of solid wood, maybe it is, but I've never seen a real piece of wood drill like that. And I haven't had this apart and looked in the cavities or anything, so I don't know. And it doesn't really matter because, you know, I'm not going to throw it in the garbage just because it's not a, you know, just because it's a composite. Yeah. Something to know though, something to think about. You know, even, you know, if you don't think you'd be satisfied, even with $100 guitar, that the body isn't an actual piece of solid wood. Because that makes all of your screws, you know, the screw holes, all of them are going to be really fragile. So if you're taking them in and out, I mean, you'll be lucky to get a screw to go in and out a couple times before it strips or won't tighten. Like these strap pins already were. Something to think about. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal with when you have this gloss finish on top of it, you know, really what it's made out of, but the only consideration is, you know, your screws are going to strip really easy in a composite or particle board type wood, a lot faster than an actual piece of wood. Or, you know, same thing with a really soft piece of wood. If you use a really soft piece of wood, it's going to do the same thing. Your screws just aren't going to live very long. Alright. But yeah, I did, yeah, put a set of Ernie balls on it to try to reduce the, you know, amount that the strings rattle on the fretboard when you're doing power chords. Didn't really fix it. Yeah, but like I say, individually the strings don't buzz. No dead frets. It's something about this guitar and I have it at high electric height. So, you know, if you have one of those cards that you use to set your string height, this is high electric. That's what it's set at. So I tried to get them as high as I could. And I reduced the bow, kind of a minimum amount of bow to the neck, which maybe that would help it to have it bowed more, I don't know. Sounds pretty good down there. Yeah, something about this guitar just makes the big strings vibrate up and down. You know, my other guitars don't really do that. I don't know why this one does. Doesn't affect the way it sounds plugged in at all. It's just when you're sitting there playing a bar chord on the top three strings, it just kind of rattles off the fretboard a little bit. It's kind of obnoxious. I don't know if that's really anything to worry about. It doesn't seem to hurt the sustain or anything. It doesn't seem to affect the way it plays plugged in at all. She's kind of rattly when you play it, you know, with the unplugged. So yeah, so that's I think that's it. I like the it's got essentially a 15K humbucker on it, which really surprised me at a low price point. Yeah, it tested at 14.5, which is probably, you know, it was probably basically 15K. And it does have a tremolo, but from the factory it comes cinched down to the body really hard, so essentially it's a hardtail until I get into the tremolo cavity and, you know, dial it. So I'm just kind of leaving it hardtail right now. They've really got, and that's the second guitar I've gotten that way. My Kramer was that way too. They just crank the screws in on the tremolo to where you know, it's so tight to the body you've basically got a hardtail, but you know, it doesn't really work with the tremolo very good. So you'd have to tweak your string tension under here if you were, you know, really wanting to use the tremolo a lot, which this one probably would be pretty good because it's got the straight string configuration on the headstock that makes them more tuning stable when you use the tremolo. It's my Squier Affinity, it's very tune stable, and the tremolo works really, I mean the tremolo floats above the body a little bit, but it's level, just but up a 16th, and it works great. Very tuning stable. So I'm thinking this one probably would be too. It's got the old 6 screw style instead of my Affinity has the double pin 2 screw with, you know. I think this would be pretty probably a good tremolo if you wanted to use it also. Yeah, I like the way the humbucker sounds good. Yeah, really pretty, good sounding guitar. Just did some pretty mild setup on it. Yeah, it's a little rattly when it's not plugged in if you're bar chording the top 3 strings. But like I say, it doesn't seem to affect how it sounds plugged in. And that's the yeah, that's the sound check. Fun. That's all I have for you right now. We'll see you later.